3 days ago, I turned 18, but my parents abruptly called off my birthday celebration because my older sister, Amanda, threw a fit. Truthfully, I was relieved she wasn't supposed to be around for the event. She had plans to jet off to Los Angeles with her college friends for some big influencer gathering she'd been obsessing over for months. But as luck would have it, a massive thunderstorm grounded all flights across the Southwest, leaving her stuck in Phoenix. Her trip got postponed, and she was unbearable, making my parents tiptoe around her to avoid upsetting their favorite child. Amanda has always been the golden one in our family, and they'd bend over backward to keep her happy. So when she stormed into the kitchen on the morning of my birthday and demanded they cancel my party, saying, "If I'm miserable, she doesn't get to celebrate either," my parents didn't even blink. They immediately texted everyone, friends, family, everyone, to call off the event. I was completely in the dark about all of this. I spent the day buzzing with excitement, helping Mom set up decorations we'd picked up from Target, stringing lights and balloons across the backyard. I even baked my favorite chocolate chip cookies using Grandma Rose's recipe, the one she taught me years ago. The desert sunset made everything look magical. As the evening rolled in, I kept checking my phone, expecting messages from friends about arrival times or parking. But it stayed eerily quiet. By 7 p.m., when no one showed up, I started to worry. By 8 o'clock, I was confused. By 9 o'clock, panic set in. Mom, Dad. I called, finding them lounging in the living room, watching Netflix like it was just another night. Where is everyone? Did something happen? That's when they broke the news. They'd canceled my 18th birthday party, the milestone I'd been dreaming of for months, all because Amanda was upset about her ruined LA plans. The anger that surged through me was like nothing I'd ever felt. This wasn't just about a party. It was 18 years of being sidelined, always playing second fiddle to Amanda's demands. It was the start of everything unraveling. I lost it, yelling at my parents, demanding to know how they could do this to me. This was my day, my big 18th, my step into adulthood. They were the ones who'd suggested a grand celebration, helped me plan it, and insisted on inviting our extended family from Tucson and Flagstaff. "You don't get it," Mom said, wringing her hands. "Amanda's devastated about her trip. It didn't feel right to throw a party while she's so fragile." Fragile? I shot back. "She's 23. I'm the one turning 18, and you scrapped my party because of her meltdown." My parents had always handled Amanda with kid gloves, prioritizing her feelings over mine. Growing up, I had to give her the last slice of pizza if she wanted it, let her pick what we watched on TV, and avoid wearing clothes she liked to protect her aesthetic. I got her hand-me-downs while she got shopping sprees at Scottsdale Fashion Square. But this crossed every boundary I'd ever set in my head. "Lower your voice," Dad warned, glancing upstairs. "You'll wake Amanda. She's finally napping." That pushed me over the edge. Even now, as they ruined my birthday, they were more worried about disturbing their precious daughter than addressing the hurt they'd caused me. Later, I learned they'd told everyone I was sick with a terrible migraine, and asked them not to contact me until the next day. That explained the silence on my phone. My friends thought they were being kind by giving me space to recover. The manipulation was staggering. As I unleashed 18 years of pent-up frustration, Amanda sauntered downstairs in her silk pajamas, looking smug and well-rested. "What's all this noise?" she asked, playing innocent. When I called her out for her selfishness, she had the nerve to lecture me about empathy. "I'm going through something really hard right now," she said, tossing her highlighted hair. "If you can't see how cruel it is to party while I'm struggling, you're more selfish than I thought." That was it. I lunged at her, grabbing her perfect hair, and we ended up in a full-on brawl in our Scottsdale living room. Our parents had to pry us apart, and right then the doorbell rang. In the chaos, we hadn't heard it, but someone was at the door, and that someone was about to change everything. Dad opened it to find Grandpa William standing there, all 6 feet of him, commanding as ever in his crisp khakis and polo shirt. He was the family patriarch, respected and a little feared, and even my parents stood straighter when he entered. "What the hell is going on here?" he demanded, taking in my disheveled state and Amanda's messy hair. Normally, I kept quiet about how my parents treated me. The constant favoritism felt too trivial to air out. and I'd been taught to keep family matters private. But something about that moment, my canceled birthday, Amanda's smirk, my parents' indifference, broke me. I spilled everything to Grandpa William. Not just about that night, but about years of being treated like I didn't matter, always sacrificing for Amanda's comfort, never allowed to outshine the golden child. Feeling invisible in my own home. His face morphed from confusion to shock to fury. "Is this true?" he asked my parents sharply. Before they could respond, he pressed on. "Because if it is, you've been lying to me for years about how you're raising these girls." Then came a revelation that flipped my understanding of our family. Grandpa William had been sending my parents money every month for 3 years to keep their struggling Tempe accounting firm afloat. They'd been on the brink of bankruptcy multiple times, and he'd been quietly bailing them out. Even my birthday party, the one they canceled, had been fully funded by him. "I've been supporting this family because I thought you were raising both girls with fairness and love," he said, his voice icy. Clearly, I was mistaken. Amanda, ever the fool, chose that moment to argue with him, whining about how traumatic her canceled LA trip was and how she couldn't possibly handle a party while she was in such pain. Grandpa William stared at her like she'd lost her mind. "You think the world spins around you?" he said quietly. "You think your 23-year-old tantrum trumps your sister's 18th birthday?" The silence in the room was suffocating. Then he dropped a bombshell. "I'm done supporting this family. You're on your own now." Turning to me, he said, "Aviana, pack your bags. You're coming with me." Chaos erupted. My parents forgot about me entirely, frantically begging Grandpa William not to cut them off. "Dad, please, let's talk this out," my father pleaded, trailing him around the living room. "We made mistakes, but we can fix this," Mom added, her voice desperate. But Grandpa wasn't listening. He looked at me and asked, "Aviana, do you want to live with me? This environment isn't healthy for you." I didn't hesitate. Yes. What hit me hardest was that, as they begged Grandpa William to reconsider, neither of them tried to convince me to stay. They weren't upset about losing me. They were upset about losing his money. It was proof of everything he'd said about their priorities. I ran upstairs, packed my essentials, clothes, laptop, favorite books, the few pieces of jewelry that were actually mine, not Amanda's cast-offs. Downstairs, the argument grew louder, my parents' voices increasingly frantic. When I returned with my bags, Grandpa William was already heading for the door. He didn't glance back at his son as we left the house I'd lived in for 18 years. "I should have done this sooner," he said as we drove through Scottsdale's familiar streets toward his Paradise Valley home. I knew something was off, but I hoped it would get better. His house was a haven, a stark contrast to the tension of living with my parents and Amanda. Grandpa William, a retired top criminal defense attorney, had a home that reflected his success, but more than that, it felt calm. Over dinner that first night, he said, "You can stay here as long as you need, through the summer, through college, whatever you want." For the first time in years, I felt like someone truly cared about me. But my parents weren't done. My phone started blowing up almost immediately with their attempts to reel me back in. Not because they missed me, but because they needed me to convince Grandpa William to restore their financial lifeline. Their desperation grew clearer every day. Texts, voicemails, emails, they tried everything. Their apologies rang hollow, calculated to manipulate me back, so they could mend things with Grandpa. "We know we messed up," Mom's messages read. "We thought you were stronger, more independent than Amanda, so we gave her more attention because she needed it. We're sorry we took your strength for granted." The excuses infuriated me. Amanda is 5 years older. She should have been the one mature enough to share their attention. They were spinning their favoritism as a compliment to my character. After a week of ignoring their increasingly frantic messages, I finally replied, telling Dad exactly what I thought of their fake apologies, and that I knew they only wanted me back for Grandpa's money. That's when they made a fatal mistake. "We'll do anything to fix this," Dad texted. "Just tell us what it would take for you to come home, and talk to your grandfather about giving us another chance." I responded with a test. "I'll consider coming back if Amanda moves out for good. She's 23, has a job, and should have her own place by now. If you choose her over Grandpa's support, that'll tell me everything I need to know." I had no intention of returning, no matter what they decided. This was just to see if they'd ever pick me over their golden child. Their silence spoke volumes. Days passed with no reply. Meanwhile, life with Grandpa William was everything I'd been missing. He listened to me, asked about my passions, helped me explore colleges and scholarships. We cooked together, watched classic movies, and talked about my future. One evening, as we sat on his patio overlooking Camelback Mountain, he said, "I'm proud of how you stood up for yourself. That took guts." He also shared family history my parents had hidden. My mom had battled severe depression after her parents died in a car accident while she was pregnant with me. She'd blamed me for their deaths, believing my pregnancy brought bad luck. "They planned to give you up for adoption," Grandpa admitted. "Your grandmother and I stepped in to keep you with the family, but I don't think they ever fully accepted you were meant to be here." Understanding the root of their rejection was both painful and freeing. I wasn't the problem, never had been. But my peaceful new life was soon interrupted. 2 weeks after my ultimatum, I was walking home from Chaparral High School with my friend Tyler, a linebacker who'd become my unofficial protector after I told him about my family drama. As we neared the school parking lot, I spotted Amanda leaning against her silver Honda Civic. My stomach knotted. "Tyler," I whispered. "Can you walk me home? I've got a bad feeling." He nodded, no questions asked. He knew the whole story and why I might need backup. Amanda trailed us for blocks, staying about 20 feet behind, silent and eerie. Finally, I couldn't take it. I spun around and confronted her. "What do you want, Amanda?" She glanced at Tyler with disdain. "I need to talk to you alone, without your bodyguard." "Tough luck," I shot back. "I'm not talking to you at all." That's when she launched into a rehearsed speech about how my unreasonable demands were stressing our parents and tearing the family apart. "Mom and Dad told me about your insane condition," she said, her voice rising. "You actually think they'll kick me out just to appease your jealousy? That's unhinged, Aviana." I smiled calmly and threw her own words back at her. "If I can't be happy, neither can you." Sound familiar? It's the same logic you used to cancel my birthday. Then I turned and walked away with Tyler. That's when Amanda lost it. She screamed, calling me vicious and selfish. When I flipped her off without looking back, she snapped completely, tackling me to the sidewalk. Tyler reacted instantly, lifting her off me like she was nothing and holding her at arm's length as she cursed us both. Furious, I walked up, slapped her hard across the face, and warned her that if she ever tried that again, I'd call the police. "And with all the trouble you've caused Mom and Dad," I added, "I'm sure they'd love dealing with assault charges." She kept arguing, but Tyler and I walked away. She didn't follow after that slap. When I got home and told Grandpa William, he was ready to call the cops, but I convinced him it wasn't worth it. Amanda had learned her lesson, and she was already on thin ice with our parents. I also told him about my ultimatum. Instead of being upset, he laughed and called it brilliantly strategic. "They deserve to sweat a bit," he said. "Let's see if they finally show where their loyalties lie." 2 days later, we got their answer. A message from my parents arrived Thursday morning as I ate breakfast with Grandpa William. It was short and brutally clear. "We're keeping Amanda with us. You've shown you're not the kind of person we want around her. You've always been jealous and spiteful. We only wanted you back for your grandfather's money, but your mom's brother is stepping in as a business partner, so we don't need it anymore. You're not welcome in our family." I showed Grandpa William, expecting him to be angry. Instead, he shook his head and said, "Well, that's that. Now you know where you stand." Their rejection didn't sting. I'd known they only wanted me for the money. Their honesty was almost refreshing. But a few hours later, when I didn't respond, they sent another message, clearly rattled. "We're blocking you now because you're a cruel, ungrateful person. After all we did, feeding you, clothing you, sending you to school, you dare act like we're bad parents. You should be grateful for the bare minimum we gave you." Before they could block me, I blocked them first. I was done with their games for good. Life blossomed after that. I got into Arizona State University with a partial scholarship, and Grandpa William covered the rest of my expenses. I started dating Tyler officially, and we went to prom together before graduation. Best of all, I watched Karma catch up with my parents and Amanda. Word spread through our extended family about why Grandpa cut them off, and most of Dad's relatives stopped speaking to them. Their Scottsdale social circle shrank as people learned how they'd treated me. Mom's family kept in touch, but they were increasingly isolated. Last month, I heard through friends that Amanda finally moved out to her own apartment in Tempe. Apparently, living with our parents became unbearable after they lost Grandpa's support and had to downsize drastically. Tyler and I are still together, even though we're at different colleges. I drive back to Phoenix from Flagstaff, where I'm studying psychology at Northern Arizona University, to see him on weekends. I've made amazing friends here and for the first time, feel like myself, not someone's lesser sister or unwanted burden. Grandpa William and I are closer than ever. He's become the parent I always needed, someone I can rely on no matter what. We've both made mistakes and grown from them, but our bond is built on real respect and love. Sometimes, I wonder what might have happened if my parents had genuinely apologized after my birthday, if they tried to change instead of manipulating me. But I'm grateful things unfolded exactly as they did. I'm free, valued, and living the life I deserve. And I've never been happier.